And hello, everyone, and welcome to Unlocking the Sports and Fitness Code. Today, you're listening to Kim and Paula Collins, and between both of us, we have over 40 years of experience in the sports and fitness industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sit back, relax, and here we are, Kim and Paula Collins.
Yes, and that's hi, Kim. I think it's very important for us not to say yes, we are the one and only, or just you and I are the expert, but based on our experience as you're an athlete and a coach. I was an athlete in the bodybuilding area, bikini, body, and I'm a trainer and also a coach. I think it's very important for us to speak or to um to basically explain or speak on some of the things we've experienced in the business of
Yeah.
fitness and sports. So we are saying we're unlocking the code then, or our code, what we've used
Oh,
for our success. So as many might have known, we're husband and wife, and I've been your coach. I've coached you for a while, might I
right.
say. And I'm always fascinated by your success as a world champion, a Commonwealth champion, and the record holder
Yeah.
in the fastest man over 40 in the
Right.
Guinness Book of World Record. And often, even though I was your coach, or I coach, or I'm still coaching, or we're still coaching, I'm trying to understand what it is that make you function, or some of the stuff we want to talk about is your strength, or what it is that make you tick, or what do you think that caused you to be so successful, or was successful in your area, or what you did.
Well, that's a very, very broad topic, and it has a lot of depth to it. Now, the number one things people don't understand, there's a lot of things, but the number one of all things is understanding yourself and what makes you tick. Most persons don't understand themselves. Why I say that? There's some persons who got to get angry in order to perform well. Some people have to meditate. There's so many different things that people do to get up for the game, but sometimes they lose sight of that. So when the game comes, they're not mindful of, okay, well, I need to pray before my race. I get my strength from God. Some people get the strength from, other things, which we're not going to go into. We call it the juice. Some people get the inspiration from listening to a motivational speech, and others is far and wide. But what I've learned over the years is if you're trying to be an athlete, whether primary school, high school, professional, college, whatever it is, you have to find that coach who's been there that will take you there or who has taken someone else there. The point is, if you and your coach don't know where you're going and that has never been there, it's going to be a lot more difficult. I learned early on to listen to my coaches who I trust to get me where I need to go because it's their product. And if they fail, I fail. And I sometimes tell athletes that if I fail as a coach, you fail. And if you fail, I fail. And failure is not an option when it comes to sports. I learned to listen, understand, and obey. The coach said, this is what we're trying to do. This is the way we're going to do it. A lot of times they don't explain why they do it. Nowadays, some people try to explain why, but more back then, you didn't know why you did what you did. So it was very important to me to say, okay, I give you my trust and do what you say. Another thing I had to do, and even to today, is control your ego. A lot of people have different names for it, but I call it the ego. Is that person that lives inside. If you would watch a cartoon and somebody gets shouted at, you will see the person shrinking, and that's the ego shrinking. And when athletes are being talked down to, you find they lose their confidence, they lose their drive, they lose their passion, and it can lead to them giving up. So I learned if I'm in the gym, I do not try to come in and gym like the people who live in the gym. They live there, they eat, sleep, and breathe gym. So if you are a regular person, you cannot come and go in the gym and do like those what they call gym rats. For me as a professional athlete, you cannot come as a common man and think you're going to race me because you saw me on TV and you say, oh, this is easy. I saw him do it. It can't be that hard. So a lot of times people, especially us men, our ego gets the better of us. It's that testosterone driven male dominance hormone that we have. And it is very important for sprinting, but when you can learn to control it and know when to unleash it, it makes you a better athlete and a better person.
Well, and I mean, what you're saying is, I mean, we've both worked together on various projects, whether coaching you or coaching others,
Right.
and we've often spoken about the difference in track and field as the difference in building or fitness. We spoke about, I mean,
Right.
we came together as a team. I was searching for something, and I believe you also were searching for something, and we both complemented
That
each
is
other. And one of the things that you're talking about, or we're talking about, when a person is talking about, whether it's in sports, when you're an athlete, or whether you want to you want to be healthier, a healthier body enhances a healthy mind, or in one and the other. When you're healthier, your mind and your body and your whole being is better. So for us, when we're talking about sports and fitness, a lot of people will think that, okay, I don't need my kids to do sports, or I don't need to get fit. But if whenever, for me, looking at you and the discipline that you have or exhibited over the years that we've known each other and trained, is the ability to get up and do the thing even when you do not want to, and you don't feel or even listen, as you're saying, the ego. Because a lot of person will say, oh, when it's not generating money for me to go to the gym. But if you're disciplined in something that is not generating money, how much more will you be disciplined in your regular life? So when expound on some of the athletes when we're coaching, and we don't understand a lot of the athletes not being real with themselves to say, okay, I am at this level. Why do I think that I'm going to get an Olympic medal, or why do I think I'm going to get a world championship medal, when I know within myself? Where do you think an athlete goes when they're in this frame of mind, or thinking that I can do this in spite of
Well,
where they are?
again, back to the ego. What it is, a lot of times you feel invincible. And I often say Superman is not super all the time. He's Clark Kent, a reporter. Now, you have a lot of athletes that don't want to put in the work. I mean, I had a situation with a brother of mine. He wanted me to buy him a vehicle. And I asked him, do you have a driver's license? He said, no. But I'm saying, why would you want to go and drive when you haven't yet learned to drive? We as human beings, we learn everything. We learn to walk, we learn to talk, we learn to speak. We learn to do everything that we are doing now. There was a famous psychological experiment where there were some babies. And the question was, if you don't speak to the babies, what language would they speak? And they died. That is where the observation came from, to notice that language is life. Now, it's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. So when the coach is giving you information, he expects feedback. You just did a 150. How did you feel? You just did a 200. How did that feel? How did your legs feel? Did you feel tired? Did it feel hard? Most athletes are not honest about that. They give false report. So now it looks like the coach doesn't know what he or she is doing because the athlete is not honest. And if they're not honest with the training, the performance will never amount to what they want, because you're not training, you're not learning. My observation is that most athletes want to compete, but they don't want to learn to compete. Most coaches will tell the athlete, oh, run a 150, but they haven't taught them how to run a 150. Go, we're going to do some stats, but they haven't been taught how to do the stats. It all goes back to basic. And when you take an athlete back to the basic, they get offended. They think it's beneath them to learn. There's no way you can do a task that you was not trained for. And too many athletes fall by the wayside because they're not willing to learn. You have to listen and understand. Most persons told me, well, they thought I was lying when you were coaching me. They think, no, he's coaching himself. None of us can coach ourselves to be an Olympic athlete. It doesn't work that way. You cannot see yourself. You cannot see the bad habits, the mistakes, and all the motivation and the creation that goes into making you, building your body, your mind, and everything that comes with it. You cannot do that for yourselves. As adults, we always need adult supervision. No matter what company you own, no matter what vehicle you drive, no matter what house you live in, somebody's always telling you what to do. And we need that to reinforce progress as human beings to evolve.
But as you're unlocking some aspect of the sports, as in track and field, and I would say that is sports across the board. It's similar with trainers. I competed and I needed a trainer to train me. What it is, I have to know who's going to train me because I kind of know where I want to go. But I need that push. I need to see that when I'm tired or what's happening or when I am not feeling well, I need that person to motivate and push me. It's similar with in health and wealth. For me, when it comes to health and wealth, I believe that persons think, oh, I could take on my own health journey and do what I can and I'll be good at it. But you're not an expert or a specialist in strength training or fitness or health and wealth or the things that surrounds it. And that's another thing that I think it's, as you say, ego, arrogance, or undermining, because I've often said that it doesn't matter what you specialize in. If you, towards the end of your life, if you are not healthy, you are no good to yourself.
Right.
And it's similar with that whole thing of needing some, whether it's for you to say, okay, can I get a trainer or can I work with someone who's going to guide me for my requirements, what I need to be better for, whether it's well, some people say 6 weeks, which is ridiculous. But if that's what you want to do and you're a fast learner and you think you want to do it, go ahead. But there's always more to be learned. And we're not saying everyone has to have a personal trainer
Right.
or everyone. Another thing that we've noticed, even athletes of ours, it's trying to intertwine. Like when I first became a trainer and I competed, I remember a colleague of mine wanted to train me. He did not have enough experience working with a female, and I wasn't strong enough for a particular deadlift. And my ego in the gym, I was there. I started.
Wow.
I felt like I opened my entire body up. I had to walk away. I wouldn't even get into it because it was so embarrassing. And so you'll have a male coach. Oh, you want to do upper body one day, you want to do arms one day and chest one day, shoulder one day and back. To me, that's the male old way of doing things. And whether it's track and field or fitness, people are set to their ways and they're not willing to learn because the arrogance of them is that, okay, I need to be better and I'm not better. What do I need to do? What is the mindset behind the success of of whatever you're doing or your, so being there for over 20 years. And I remember when we got married, you retired. What was the mindset behind the retirement, and why do you think you could have given it another try?
Well, you have to look at when you're on top of the world as a world champion, and next thing you know, you could barely break 10-2, really run 10-1, it does a lot of damage to the ego. And, there comes a time when you realize you have to walk away. And at that time in 2009, 2010, I thought that that was the time to walk away. And of course, we both did the IWF course, which opened my eyes because now I knew what the coaches who did the course learned and what they're supposed to teach us and how the information was supposed to be done. I realized there was a lot of things I was doing wrong, a lot of things I wasn't doing. I was terrible with food, still is today, as you know. And I realized that if you made some simple changes, the race would have been a lot easier. And I think that what kills a lot of us, even when we go to a competition and you competed and you realize, wow, if I really put some work into this, I can be good. But then it's too late. Some competitions is next year, some is next 2 years, and the big one is every 4 years. So imagine you're that guy who comes fourth in the Olympics. He's like, man, if I had just, if I had, if, and that it kills you. So when we went and did the course and I learned so much, I was able to put a lot of that into practice. I became better at eating. I became more mindful of resting. And I realized that if you really put the work in, you can get the results. But again, it's a complete package with coach and athlete. And all of your entire life plays a point. Let me explain. Your entire life plays a point, a very important part of your development as not just as an athlete, but as a person. Your personal life with your partner, with your family, with money, the persons you train with, the place that you live, the house you live in, who you live with, all of these little things plays a very big part in your development. And after doing that course, I was able to look into myself and look into my life and able to come back strong and be the oldest man to medal at a world championships in the men's 100 and the oldest man to run sub 10 at 40. I mean, even to this day at 44, you think that, it's not done yet because you do not peak at 40. It means there's still something else there. But then after that, of course, life came knocking, and sometimes life off the track can be more detrimental than life on the track. And we will discuss that another time
Yes,
in
yes,
another
we
segment.
can,
But it's
because
just for persons to understand how important it is to understand. I want to be a world-class sprinter, or high jumper, or shot put thrower. You have to find what it takes. You can learn from the persons who did it. Most persons don't want to do that. There's no pop quiz in track and field before the event, but you can look at technique, you can look at form, you can look at progression, you can look at progress, you can look at mistakes. You can learn from other person's mistakes. That's why that famous commercial, you can learn a lot from a dummy. It was a very popular commercial. And most persons don't want to learn the game, they want to know the game. And knowing the game is for the sportscasters and the managers and the analysts. Those are the ones who know the game. Because they need to know numbers. They need to know what was the win gauge in 96 Olympics, in the men's 100 in second round. Us athletes, we don't need to know that. All we need to do is figure out with your coach, how do I get to the finish line first? That is the number one objective. How do I show further than anybody else? How do I jump higher than anyone else? That is your main goal, not figuring out what the guy ate for breakfast. That's not your business. And too much athletes focus on what the other guy is doing and not what they are not doing. And they don't realize before you know it, the season is over.
but don't you think it could also be unrealistic goals? Because, I mean, it took you a while because of misguidance, as even for myself, because as you speak, we could correlate whether it's sports, track and field, or is in the area of fitness, where there was so much wrongs that was taught to me on my journey as a fitness trainer. And I look back, and sometimes it could have been embarrassing. But when I studied and I realized so many other trainers made mistakes and are willing to say that I was wrong on this topic, or even the science that changed. But of lately, there are persons who are saying, okay, I become a trainer, and are not willing to become a student, or
Right.
they've
Right.
lost some weight. And it's similar, and one that things take time to grow. Allow yourself to make mistake and be gracious enough to say, I was wrong about this, I was right, it wasn't. And can we share information on the next episode of Unlocking Sports and Fitness? We really want to get into, especially when one of the things that held my attention to this day is when you had lost your brother and you came home to bury him, and so much went on, and you went and on a how many hours of flight to Russia and won that race. And for me, it speaks such volume that that's a whole different topic that we have to discuss, because I think whether it's unlocking track and field, unlocking fitness, it's unending. So
That is true. That is true. But let me backtrack a second. You talk a little bit about journey. In 2011, before I got to the podium in Daegu, I had to go back at the beginning. I had to go back to those disorganized meets where everything was disorganized and it was a rolling schedule and you would run whatever and it's just whatever. And you had to work your way back up the top of the ladder. So I would advise persons out there who want to see where they're at, go to some little joke meet, some little all comers. Pick on some guys that you know for sure you can beat, and you beat them. And then the next week you come, or the next time you come, you work your way up the ladder. And wherever you stop, please, please, please. It's not what I say, but it's what the Lord say, or the universe says. That's where you're supposed to be. That's all it is. If you're going to be at a development level or a national level, that's where you're going to be. The international level is a totally different cup of tea.
yes, yes, that was, listen, we have so much more to talk about, because as you unravel that, there's, there's great ahead of days ahead. So I think we're out of time
Yes,
on this
we are.
episode of Unlocking Fitness. And as for me, my encouragement for persons in this, on my aspect as a trainer, is don't want to start at the top. As Kim says, starting on, do you want to squat? You think you have to squat a barbell? Just start at home with some body weight squats. And if you're not seeing much result, hold the squat for a second or two or three, and then you'll do some hip thrusts. Do things that are easier. Maybe just start where you're at. Do not
Yes.
compile stuff on stuff that you know you're not able to master yet. And let's just be gracious with our bodies, with ourselves, with our mind. Let's be honest and start where you're at.
Yes.
Thank you for this.
Yes, it was great. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Kim and Paula just explained it. Thank you for viewing.
Unlock. Mr. Kim Collins, unlock.
Allah.
All right, out.